Well, it must have been an interesting day over at the legislature yesterday. I got the note from Jim Moylan, and he talks about getting flip-flopped on by some of the members of the 35th Guam Legislature, and it looks like Peto's got a bill that could go and answer some of the questions for employees and retirees of the government of Guam. Go ahead and turn on Ken LG's mic. Ken Leon-Guerrero, normally a telephone caller here at the radio station. I actually invited him into the studio here this morning for an auspicious occasion. You've actually got your petition for candidate for senator, right?
Yes, I do.
Do you have it on you?
It's right over here.
Is there, well, I'd like to sign it. And see, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be the first person to sign Ken Leon-Guerrero's petition for senator.
Well, actually,
absolutely, that's a big lie. That is a massive
today.
lie.
Yeah.
Maybe the first today. Because you've been out there on various street locations, right? You know, doing your little BLM protest. And
what we've been
how
doing
many of those
here.
do you have?
Well, what we've been doing, a bunch of new candidates are working together because in the age of COVID, you know, we have to do things differently. And so what a bunch of new people have done, and one senator we support very strongly has done, is we're working together to get the signatures because, you know, I thought COVID was going to be the biggest challenge for new candidates, but it's not. It's crime.
Crime?
Crime. And I'll tell you why. Because you go into any village and 50 to 60 to 70% of the homes either have a gate and a fence or a wall or dogs chained in front of the house so that as a new person, you can't get anywhere near the house. And I confronted one guy in Tamuni and I said, you know, how do people reach you? They said, oh, they call me on the cell phone. And I said, well, what if we don't have your cell phone number? Then you're probably somebody I don't want to talk to anyway.
Yeah,
That's a great way to deal with solicitors and door-to-door peddlers and stuff. But it makes it really hard under the existing laws. And then the time frame got crunched because of the COVID. The emergency orders. So basically, candidates have about 5 weeks to collect the number of signatures, but you can't approach houses. Most business have no soliciting, and plus they have the COVID situation as well. So new candidates, we got together. We've been doing pop-ups, working our social media, and we've been driving people to the locations because a lot of people have complained for years about the lack of new faces, same people over and over again. So this way, you have the opportunity to give the incumbents competition by coming out and not just supporting me, supporting all new candidates because traditionally incumbents, they don't even campaign till the general election starts. They just put up a few signs and go around to weddings and funerals. Yeah. But with a bunch of new faces holding incumbents accountable for their records, especially the record of the 35th, the incumbents are going to have to start defending their records a lot sooner, and then we're going to see a real campaign take place between old ideas, new candidates, incumbents, and we'll finally have the kind of election that we should have been having all these decades that we used to have back in the 60s and 70s when it was more about the people, less about the parties. Because if you remember back to the 60s and 70s, there was a lot more interaction between the candidates and the people than there is now. Now it's just, you know, party functions, weddings, and funerals.
You got fundraisers that you got over at venues and frannies in Las Vegas.
Yeah, and so we're trying to change that paradigm. We have to change that paradigm because the places are all closed, the traditional places for fundraising. And then the distancing orders, the small groups, we can't have rallies and things like that. So we're rethinking campaigning for the 21st century, which is good training for these new candidates going into the legislature because we're already working together. Yeah. We've set aside party barriers. We know that it will be a clash of ideas, but that's what democracy is supposed to be. Ideas clashing, not what we're seeing happening on Bill 363, where Peto is ramrodding it through. He and Tina Munoz Barnes are ramrodding Bill 366 through. No public hearing, substantially changed, and I love the waiver of public hearing.
Well, the emergency, but
an emergency. What emergency? You know,
I might not get reelected. That's the emergency.
Yeah, that's the same thing as the 2014 emergency. You know, we won't have enough money for the pay raise. We need the pay raises so we can go have it in time for Black Friday.
Well, do me a favor. Hit me up and give me some details on what happened yesterday. As I said, I was busy yesterday playing around on regular social media. Did not watch the and instead of watching the legislature, Mana and I spent some time watching a valuable scientific milestone with the spacewalkers on the International Space Station.
Well, I didn't either because I was with candidates and we were going around, and that's where we had our first real village experiences. And you know, we're going down street after street where you know that's dogs and gates and no call buttons or anything like that. So how were we supposed to?
You stand there and as loud as you can go, "Oi!"
Tried that.
And if somebody comes out, then you got a live one. And if nobody comes out, then you got to stand out at the front of the gate with the Jehovah's Witnesses. That is your lot in life here, guy. All right, here's what I got. My uncle, cousin Joe Artero Cameron says, "Dear Gov Guam retirees, Senator Pito Terlai succeeded in moving choice bill to the voting file. And this, of course, was met with challenge by 5 female Democratic senators whom wanted the health insurance choice bill to be set aside. Those 5 senators did not garner majority support to push it back to any. So who we got here? I got names here of the senators that wanted to kill the bill before it went to the voting file. They include Sabina, Therese, Regine, Lena and KMT, which is Cameron short for Kelly Marsh Titan. But that's an interesting way to do it when there's maybe you got a little coronavirus in your throat and you don't want to go. Then you just go KMT. But anyway, so it was them that wanted to kill the bill. Now, I don't know at some point whether or not it was prudent to try to kill the bill, given the additional cost that the choice plan is going to give us. The thing that I do like about it is it has the words choice, which means that the employees and retirees may be entitled to a little bit of a competitive bend from all these different insurance companies and their different offerings. But my understanding on Pito's new bill is it also requires you get a basic plan, and if you want a better plan, you want to go from the Cadillac to the Rolls-Royce, then you have to pay up for it.
Yeah, that's something that I've been pushing for since 2016.
Yeah.
And now it's finally in this bad bill. And I say bad bill because we look at all the things the people of Guam are facing. We have 40,000 people out of work. We have small businesses that may never open again.
Yep.
And so rather than try to save the economy and the small businesses, we're going to take a bad health insurance program and make it worse because these 2 senators are not acknowledged health care experts. And the last time they got together, it cost taxpayers almost $12 million, and it upset just about everybody that went on to the new plan that they created. So when we take the group, start dividing it into smaller groups, we double the admin, triple, quadruple the admin costs, the benefits go down, and at least this time, they're going to stick the government and Guam employees with a much higher premium.
As opposed to the taxpayers.
Yeah, well, we'll see if that really happens. What they say and what they pass are usually 2 different things.
I have not had a chance to see the engrossed version of the bill, and it still has one more hurdle to get through. If there's significant pushback on the bill from over at the legislature, the governor may use that as an opportunity to make a point.
One good thing about this bill is that this bill is going to make it easier for newcomers to go up against the incumbents because just look, all we're going to have to do is take the current situation that the majority of the people of Guam are facing and then contrast that to the priorities of this legislature. Just going back 2 months and 3 months.
But in my mind, the ultimate blank you to the voters here on Guam and the taxpayers here on Guam was apparently there was an opportunity put forward by Senator Therese Terlai, should have been Speaker, and Jimmy Moylan that would have allowed for a rollback of the business privilege tax. That was actually discussed yesterday.
I know. I'm surprised they even discussed it, given the governor's adamance about not rolling back taxes. But you see, that's what we're talking
Therese
about.
Doesn't eat off that plate. Therese and Jimmy don't eat off that plate.
Absolutely. So. That's why we have her petitions. The new people are carrying around the petitions for Therese Terlai. We believe in her that strongly because consistently during her entire senatorial career, the majority of the legislation she has worked on has been for the benefit of the people.
And so a conversation about rolling back the business privilege taxes, as we have expressed many times on this program, if you want to give people a raise, you lower the prices, and they will be able to save all kinds of money on everyday purchases that they are making these days, and everybody needs access to some dough. How many people do we think are going to be out of business right now? Was it 25,000? There are 25,000 people as reported by the employers that are either underemployed or unemployed. There are over
11,000 businesses have been participating in one or various emergency loan programs, and unless those businesses get some support, I was just talking to a business owner the other day, even with the support and even with his cash reserves and reduced operating payroll. I mean, he brought some people back, but not everybody back because they don't have the traffic for it. He's still underwater on his expenses, and he figures it's only a couple more months unless traffic picks up, which means tourism somehow. Unless that starts picking up, then he's going to have to make some hard decisions about closing his doors once and all forever.
And he might be one of these PPP recipients. As I said, there was a real opportunity there to do something that could actually help the taxpayers, the people of Guam, all of the people of Guam, the public sector, private sector, military, everybody could use a few extra dollars in their pockets, but they said no on it. Jim Moylan comes through and says, how about if we do this? Small businesses might be able to take better advantage of this. We'll roll it back
for 2 years.
Yeah. Well, it was a rollback on the payment. It's basically a change to the Dave Santos amendment, right? Yeah. So we go, but it was 3% on the first, $500,000 in gross, right? And they said no on that one as well. So ladies and gentlemen, the people over at the legislature, with just a few exceptions, do not have your best interest. That would have been the easy thing to do, would be to go back there and for 10 of them to say the business privilege tax on Guam is hereby 4%. There would have been savings across the board. Now, there are going to be people that are looking at the radio going, come on, Ray, you know better than that. The businesses aren't going to roll back their prices because the government has dropped the business privilege tax. Yes, they will. The competition will force them into doing that, number one. Number two, that's not a fair accusation to make. The businesses didn't raise the prices. The government raised the prices.
That's absolutely right. The government raised the price. And what I'm impressed with is how many businesses held the line. I know business owners who are in a competitive environment and they absorbed the business privilege tax increase. Yeah. Because remember, it was only supposed to be for 1 year. So rather than raise their prices for the 1 year, they did the best for the community and said, hey, for the benefit of our employees, we'll stay open. Yep. For the benefit of the public, we won't raise our prices. And then as the year came to an end and they were beginning to look for relief, the legislature stabbed him in the back and made it forever.
Yeah. So there's the deal, guys. If you're looking for something to protest, there's something else that you might want to decide to do is while the legislature is still in session and there's still people around there, maybe put up, and so for those of you that aren't in line for free canned chicken and free canned cow and free canned pork and salmon, maybe go get a couple of pieces of paper and stand in front of the legislature and let them know you are one of at least 15,000 people that are unemployed or underemployed right now, and you could use some relief. And the legislature, here they are in a position to force the relief. They could, as I say, with a vote of 10 people, make it so that you pay less for groceries, for medicine, for gasoline, for every product and service you buy on Guam.
And the way you do that right now, while you've got the time, is start sending emails to the senators and call their offices. I did a post under Guam Citizens, which I will be closing down soon. But you go to Guam Citizens for Public Accountability. You will find all the email addresses for the senators and the phone numbers for their offices, and start letting them know that you're mad as hell and we're not going to take it anymore. We're going to prove it this August. So find the new candidates. They're all in social media. Make arrangements to sign their petitions or come to the pop-up at DNA Plaza. Will be in front of Yogurtland. There'll be new candidates out there. You can come by and help bring competition back to politics, because when we see competition, that's when things improve. And we've seen that here. Look at what happened with GTA.
What's the next opportunity to get a bunch of people together? We ought to. No, I'm just they're in my mind. It'd be too late if we wait until July. So no, in my mind, I was thinking maybe there ought to be a thing that we could do with within a couple of weeks, because you got to get your paperwork in by the end of the month, right?
Yeah.
There might be still some people that will need. We ought to start having a serious conversation about the pandemic potluck, right? Pirates Cove, get everybody in the world down there. We'll just forget about the mask, forget about the 6 foot distancing.
That will be Sunday the 14th. We'll be down there at Pirates Cove.
Oh, really? Yes. Sunday the 14th?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not going to call it the pandemic potluck. We'll just do something else. But I mean, so that's when you're going down, Sunday.
Yeah. Sunday the 14th will be at Jeff's Pirates Cove. Saturday the 13th will be at in front of Yogurtland and cost you less. So for people up north, make it easy. But I'm surprised at how many people made the trip from Jigo to Pirates Cove. Because when I was up in Jigo earlier yesterday, people were telling me, "Oh no, I already signed it down at Pirates Cove." So they had already come down Saturday and signed the petitions down there. It's how we make Guam better. We make Guam better by putting more choices before the people, more ideas before the people, which means more new faces. And we need your help.
So the preceding was not an opportunity for him to campaign. I just wanted to have him by the radio station. We'll talk a little politics and talk a little bit about what's going on. As I said, there was a survey that is out by the Republican Party. I think this is their Republican survey. Maybe one of two. One I saw had issues on it. One of them did not have issues. And it's one of those things where you can click on an issue and move it up and down depending on whether you think it's important. Now, the early information I have is a couple of topics that stand out here. And if you were a member of the 35th Guam Legislature, wondering what it sounds like outside your echo chamber, what it sounds like outside of the legislature, what people are talking about and consider important, the economic recovery is probably the most important thing. People need to be confident that the government of Guam, that's the legislature included, has got a plan to get us out of this mess that, frankly, you guys put us into. We need to be confident about that. Otherwise, there's going to be a brain drain like the likes we have not seen before since the 70s. Well, certainly since the 80s, the early 2000s when the yen took a dump and everybody moved to Vallejo and up to Washington State. That's a big concern here. So economic recovery is one of them, and the other one is health care.
Absolutely.
And not, health coverage or health insurance. Health care is making sure that our hospital is in good shape and our public health system is in good shape. But we got clinics and doctors and nurses, and I don't know, but I don't think we've got a medical examiner yet.
No, we don't. And not only that, we are in the middle of a chronic disease explosion. Right now, the last time we did a survey, the diabetes rate on Guam was over 38%. In the U.S., it's at 9%. And at 9%, they're screaming, emergency, emergency. Mm-hmm. Here on Guam, we're at 38%. There's not a family on this island that hasn't been touched by diabetes. And the rates are accelerating. And that should be right after, and it's showing in the survey.
It's showing up in the surveys, guys. But they're sitting around and messing around with all kinds of legislation that seems to only be pointed in one direction. Oh yeah, well let's go and find the guys at the fire department and everybody else and make them come up with public safety brochures about hiking and being on the beach. Unbelievable what we've got with what I've categorized as the dumbest legislature ever in the history of Guam, and unfortunately they're messing around with some important times and some serious dollars.
People's
that could go to
lives.
government services.
They are destroying people's lives by their inactivity, by their refusal to deal with the situations that you and I have to deal with every day.
Well, that's them, and that's Ken Leon-Guerrero. Got enough time now to tell you that the radio station that you're listening to, KUSG, got you at 93.3. This is The Point. Now, Fox News.